In the late 80s, when I was back in Britain from America, I decided to apply for a job in a polytechnic. In fact, it was Wolverhampton, the one where I'd started life, when it was just College of Art. But things had changed. The environment in Britain had changed since I'd been away, and Thatcher's Britain was a place now which encouraged self-advancement, self-interest, some would say greed. And you would have thought that the Polytechnic, which had been set up as the university for the people, would sit uneasily with Thatcherism. But in fact the opposite was true, and they were far keener, I found, to embrace the sanctity of greed than the old universities. They, in the senior levels, had awarded themselves titles and high salaries, and I thought, well, I needed more money. It was about time to join them. So I thought, you know, why not apply for a job? I was called for interview. It was time to join them and move on up. Hush now, child, and don't you cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. You may find from time to time complication, but bite your lip, take a trip, and the wet road ahead. So hush now, child, and don't you cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Move on up and keep on watching. Remember, your dream is only your scheme, so keep on pushing. It's 9 AM and here are you all, you candidates. You each will be expected to give a presentation, as you know. So be here 15 minutes before the time of your presentation. The rest of the time you'll be given a tour of the School of Art Design, and then be back here by 6 PM. Any questions? He is tall and thin, wearing a light cream suit, wrinkle pickers and a loud tie, and he's drawing on a cigarette. Before I ask, another candidate does it for me. Could I ask who you are? Yeah, sure. I'm Pete Stepney, Director of the Polytechnic. So, as I was saying, you'll be divided into groups of 3, A, B and C, to be shown around. Another man appears. Hey up, I'm Fred Downage, Dr. Fred Downage. I've got to show you boggers around. A man in his late 50s with an exaggerated northern accent has just introduced himself. He's kitted out as Fidel Castro without a beard. Follow me then, over to the School of Art and Design. We'll start in my office. Off we traipse down a path around a corner, and there in front of us rises the School of Art and Design in all 7 stories. Come on, this way. Why does this revolutionary figure leading us have his office there? I wonder what he does in art and design. I'd never heard of him. Fred? Yep. What is your own art and design discipline? Just wondered as a matter of interest. We're about to enter the building. He stops in his tracks. So we all have to stop. He turns. What makes you think I've got one? Just that you said we were going to your office. I know fuck all about art and design. I'm a quantity surveyor. We are now in the entrance hall, heading for the lift. In we get and stand in silence. A student gets in on floor 3 and out at 5. We reach the 7th, head past painting, towards what is presumably Fred's office. Into a reception area, which has 3 large frame prints. It is difficult to recognise who they are by, but I manage. They are the work of a well-known staff member at the Royal College of Art, who, like me, was once a student here. It is difficult to see them because they now have a different function. Notice boards with notes stuck all over them. This is appalling. What am I doing here? Into Fred's den we go. Full-length windows. The view of the distant countryside of Shropshire is astonishing. Below, a panorama of the city laid out at our feet. As for the room itself, well, it could be difficult to furnish more grimly than this. Lots of old filing cabinets, piles of curling papers on battered desks, collapsing and filthy Venetian blinds, stuck back with masking tape. Fred's office looks as though it could be in The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. But in the corner are 2 expensive Bauhaus-style leather armchairs, Breuer, I think, left over from a previous era, when the principal of the Art College's office was expected to have some sense of design. Well, this is the Art and Design Lecture Theatre. This should be bookable by the old Polly. It isn't yet. Let's go in. Fred pushes at the door. A slide lecture is taking place. Chinese ceramics. Hello. Just want to show this place to these candidates. The lecturer is on the podium. Fred doesn't bother to introduce us to her. Instead, he waves us in and, walking to the front, places himself between the lecturer and her students. These are some of our art and design students, says Fred helpfully. And then, turning to us, these are some of the candidates for the head of School of Art and Design post we're interviewing for. A disembodied voice calls from the gloom at the back. Who are you? "6 p.m. Now we're just 8 candidates, one having withdrawn, awaiting the arrival of the director of the Poly. The door opens and here he is, Pete Stepney, with entourage. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so let's see. The HR manager hands him a sheet of paper. Thanks, darling. So here we have it. Gorman, Sadley, Jennings, Smith Robertson and Keeble. Can you please come over here? Cheers, everyone. Well, that's it then. The director and co have made their first selection. Disappointment followed by a sense of relief. Not to worry, I have a job of sorts, which is at Oxford Poly running general photography courses. Doesn't pay much, especially in comparison to the old American salary, but it's better than nothing. And then, as I'm pulling on my overcoat, you lot can go now. We won't want to see you anymore. Thanks for coming by. Well, thanks for rubbing it in, Pete. As I reach the door, the HR manager heads me off. It doesn't mean you, Mr. Grills. Those were the candidates who did not get through the first filter. We want to see you and 2 other candidates tomorrow for the formal interview. 10 a.m. in the council room. Well, I had the interview, and as appointed the head, later the dean, of the School of Art and Design. And, well, it meant at least I got the money coming back in. Move on up. Just move on up. We'll move on up. We'll move on up. pass the test. Just move on up to a greater day. With a little faith, you put your mind to it, you can surely do it and stay. Well, I did stay for 7 years as the Dean of Art and Design at the University of Wolverhampton, as it became. In fact, when it became the University of Wolverhampton, everybody was sort of peeing themselves with glee, with the exception of the art school, because that was famous before, without the Polytechnic. And it was really funny, because on my last day, or maybe the last day or two that I was there, the art school didn't care about university title or not, but it was best summed up by a cabbie at the train station in my last week. And I said, oh, the University School of Art and Design, please. Do you mean the Art College? Sometimes things never change. I'm probably right.